Another week.
For another episode. So, last week's episode, The Black Cauldron.
We went in.
We did, didn't we?
Like, that, yeah.
Your favourite. Your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remind the audience again what you gave the score out of.
It was 3 out of 5 for a Disney film.
Right.
But 5 out of 5 as a film. Because it's just really, really good.
Yeah. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to it already, go back.
Got a day by.
Yeah, because it is 2 hours.
It is our longest podcast so far.
But there was a lot to say.
Yeah.
Because a lot was happening.
I think that's the ultimate, like, making of.
Yeah.
I think we own that crown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the world.
I hope so.
Yeah. That's a long time.
So you're listening to the Jamie and Stephen show, if you don't already know, or if this is your first time tuning in.
Where have you been?
Yeah. Because we're coming up to the 26th classic, so you've got another 25 to listen to catch up.
Yes.
If you're just joining us now.
And the Christmas ones.
Yes, and the
recap.
And the Mary Poppins.
One or two.
So yeah, there's a few. However, this could be when it starts to get really fun for us, because this is our
era.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not born just yet. I think
No.
I'm born in the next block.
Yes. But because of when these were released, you know when, like, the video, like, you were there when video releases were for the first time for these.
Not for this one.
Not for Basil?
Not for Basil. Never had it.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, see, Basil, I don't know what it is, but it's got a little, like, I've got a real soft spot for it. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So you're joined the Jamie and Stephen show. Let's talk movies, music and magic. And this week's episode, Basil. Oh, sorry. I put that in brackets because I always call it Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
And that's because in the UK, that's what it's called.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, for yous overseas, its official title is The Great Mouse Detective.
Unless you picked up the original video, or the original DVD, in which case it was called The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. And actually, if you look at different videos or posters, re-releases, when it was advertised on TV and whatnot, it near enough has a different name for each.
Yeah, because The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective makes it seem as if there's going to be another.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame they didn't do another one, because this would have been a really good one to have either a spin-off series.
Yes.
Or
it almost did.
a trilogy. Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Was this going to be one of your facts?
My little facts.
Yeah, because I didn't
write
know
down
that.
any of the facts for it, but it's up in,
Okay.
in my noggin, so
Right.
it'll be an overview of it. But yes.
So, released the year I was born, 1986. It's actually my birthday next week.
She snuck
I know, I snuck that in.
Yes.
Although by the time anyone listens to this, it'll have been past. Will it?
I don't know, it's your birthday.
Oh, or is it the week? Is this going to be the week of my birthday?
Your birthday. Yeah.
That's quite scary how that's timed out. The one that was released the year I was born, it'll be available.
You know, if we hadn't done the Mary Poppins and those extra ones in between, the Black Cauldron would have been for my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. But no.
Shame.
Focus on you.
Yes. Okay, so IMDb synopsis. Basil, the rodent Sherlock Holmes, investigates the kidnapping of a toy maker and uncovers its link to his archenemy, Professor Rattigan. See how really pronounce my R there.
Yes. Again.
What was your synopsis, Stephen?
2 grown men take a child with them to defeat a rat with a pet cat.
Yes, they do. Although these 2 men don't actually know much about each other, but yes, they do take her along with them.
It's a dynamic that probably wouldn't be featured today. Let's say that.
And so, IMDb, it's got a 7.1 star rating.
I was surprised when because I had a look on it, and I was surprised to see that.
Why did you think it would be lower?
I did. I did think it would be lower, but not because it's... I just thought that it... Yeah, I think in my mind, I think the only reason it's got that score is because like only 2 people have voted for it. Because no one knows about it.
It's an hour and 14 minutes, so we've gone back to the hour and a quarter. And I think it was the perfect amount of time.
For this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did not need to be any longer.
No.
And any shorter would have ruined some of the sequences, like especially with the action and the whole investigating.
Yeah.
You know, it would have felt rushed. It has to have pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually reminded me of 2 things. A story called The Prisoner of Zendar. So what happens is a prince is going to be crowned king.
Mm-hmm.
However, he is kidnapped or falls ill, one of the 2, I can't remember. And a random person is just passing by who looks exactly like the prince.
Mm-hmm.
And they decide to crown him, pretending that he's the king.
Okay.
Prince. However, the reason why it reminds me of it is because in the 1970s, Doctor Who did a spoof.
Oh my god!
And when I say that it's the king
who
is replaced by a robot version of himself, so
the
villain can take over as the hand to the king. You'll see why it kind of reminds me of that, because that's the story.
Similarities, yeah.
That is the villain's plan. Does not remind me in the slightest of proper Sherlock Holmes.
What?
It's a spoof. It reminds me of the spoof versions of Sherlock Holmes. It's nothing like the books.
Well, I've not read the books.
It's not based on a Sherlock Holmes book.
No, it's not. It's based on Basil Baker Street.
Yeah. Which is another name for it.
I know! But yeah, no, I mean, I've not read any of the Sherlock Holmes books, but I have grown up with Sherlock Holmes.
Which is probably why you think it more represents that.
Yeah.
Because
and this obviously being very prominent in my younger days.
This is a good introduction to...
Yeah, I think to children. And then obviously to then watch the grown-up version is how I did it.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yes. So it cost 14 million and it grossed 38.6 million.
Oh, so it doubled.
Yeah. But I think this was for like its opening. So his main release.
Yeah, I did
read over time, it does make a lot more.
I did read that with the Dark Ages, usually when they produced the figures and things like that, it was only the American box office gross that it made that's presented, not
the worldwide
ones. For anyone who can hear some purr in the background,
Stephen's cat's coming to
join in. Yes, he heard mouse.
Right, directors. So these names, or 2 of these names, we're going to hear a lot. So we've got Ron Clements,
yes,
and John Musker, along with Bernie Mattinson and Dave Michener. Did I say that right?
No idea.
Don't know. Okay.
If you're listening...
Yeah, I do apologise if I've ruined that name, but yeah, Michener. Don't know. But, yeah, Ron Clement and John Musker. And they'll go on to just work as a duo after this. They won't.
Well, they were taken off the Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Because of creative
differences.
And you know what? Knowing that they're behind it and knowing what other films they do, so specifically Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
I get it. It's an old story, modernised.
Yeah.
And I know this is... It's not like it's brought out into now, but it's made in a modern way. It's not... I know what I'm getting at, I just can't say it. It's not made to be old-fashioned. It's made to be in the 80s, but the setting is the...
1800s.
No, it's not.
You're confusing the audience, Stephen.
It's not like it's made to be, say, for example, like Downton Abbey.
No.
It's made to represent... It's
not a period drama. No.
It's set in the 1800s, but it is an 80s film. The songs are 80s.
I think that the voice acting and the way that the characters are...
Yeah.
Their body language in that, it's very...
more modern than...
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. Right, well, speaking of, let's get into the cast.
Yes.
Okay, so I've just focused on the main. I've not done every single...
There's not a lot.
No, so I'll just...
I do have a few extra here and there.
Okay.
Which I'm sure I'll get through.
Okay.
All everywhere.
So, Basil is played by Barry Ingham, who you will know.
I won't know.
Why?
I don't know what episode it is.
Oh, so he's in Doctor Who in the Daleks.
He's in the film, but he's also in the TV series.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for Doctor Who fans...
Oh, you'll know who it is.
You'll know. And he's in Star Trek Next Generation.
Yep. And Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah. I mean, he did...
Everyone is.
Yeah, everyone,
Yes.
I think, that we see from this film onwards has appeared in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. John Cleese was the original choice.
And do you know what, one of the things as well, I thought you were going to say it there and then, John Hurt, who we met in the last...
Horned King.
Horned King, was played in The Caesars, and Barry Ingham was also in The Caesars playing opposite him.
Okay.
So just
connection there.
Yes.
I wonder if, like, they bumped into each other, because we know that Basil was being made during the same time as Black Cauldron and was even finished before.
Yeah, the Black Cauldron even. Yeah. Potentially.
Could be.
Potentially. I've got a few facts actually that I can
Okay.
jump in. So you say John Cleese, he turned it down to be in A Fish Called Wanda, which I've heard of, never seen.
I've seen bits.
Couldn't.
It's Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline.
Anything about it.
Yeah.
In the German version, the voice of Basil is Harry Wustenhagen, or Wustenhagen, I'm assuming, who was actually had played Sherlock Holmes in 5 films in Germany at that point.
Wow.
So he would have been known as Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, that's good.
In Germany.
That's really good. And we didn't get someone who played Sherlock Holmes in the UK. It's a bit strange, isn't it?
To be fair, I think the only person who could have done it at this point was Basil Rathbone.
Okay.
Because although there have been Sherlock Holmes throughout, I think he was the...
But he plays... No, he died.
He died 19 years before this.
Yeah, it was 4 years before, I think. No, 67, 1967.
Yeah,
he died. Yeah.
And he is...
Oh, what about him from Star Wars that plays... that was Christopher Lee's friend. He's in the New Hope. I know you've not really watched them as much as me, but I'm sure he was Sherlock as well. He played Colonel Tahin. Remember, she says, "Oh, I could smell your stench from the elevator." He's the one that tests the Death Star on our planet and blows the planet up. The thin man.
Oh, yeah. And
because he was also Van Helsing.
Peter Cushing.
Yes!
Peter Cushing was Sherlock Holmes.
He was. Yeah. Unless he passed away by the time they did that, but he could have been.
I thought he was alive in the 90s.
He could have been.
He was he played the Doctor in Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Oh my God. There's always a connection.
There's always a connection.
Right. Next up, Dawson.
Yes.
Is played by Val Bettin, who's American.
Yes.
Not even British, but very good accent.
Yes.
And he's in Shrek. He plays the bishop at the end. You know, that's about to marry Lord Farquaad and Fiona. And he's in Aladdin 3.
Yes. Aladdin 2, 3 and the TV series.
And the Tarzan series and the Hercules series.
Do you know who he plays in the Aladdin?
No.
The Sultan.
That's right!
Yes.
Yes, because he does the voice in the games as well.
Peter Cushing passed away in 1994.
Okay. So he could have done the voice. I'm really surprised they didn't offer it to him.
Could have done the voice. I've got this sort of feeling that he did a Disney film.
Anyway, but yeah, they could have been. Although obviously Barry Ingham does I
think he was more horror.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Although he does play Sherlock.
Yeah, he does play Sherlock in the horror. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm not going to say it on the podcast on my phone.
Okay.
Yes,
he could have. He could have been an option. Right, Rattigan. Is voiced by Vincent Price. And
Price.
Again, his voice, very prominent in this decade. And I would say that I know that obviously he's famous for, again, his involvement in horror, because he was in House on Haunted Hill.
House of Wax.
Oh yeah, loads.
The Fly,
yeah.
The original. The Raven.
But for me, obviously, the Muppets. It will be Rattigan and the Thriller video by Michael Jackson.
Well, I went into detail about some of this, so let me
pull
in my voice. He actually voiced a character in the Scooby-Doo, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, very short-lived series, which would have came out just a few years before this.
Right.
So kids would have recognised that voice because he was in every episode.
Okay.
So. We've gone through those. Yes, he was on the Muppets.
Right.
And because he had done the Muppets, it actually convinced that Alice Cooper should appear as well. So Alice Cooper was like, I'm not doing it. And they said, but Vincent Price has done it. And he was like, I'll do it.
If he can do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, if he'd done it, I'll do it. Mr. Price was very good friends with Tim Burton. He was in his version of Hansel and Gretel. He also was in a short called Vincent, in which a young boy is obsessed with the film star Vincent Price. And he was also the old man in Edward Scissorhands.
Yes, the dad.
Yes.
Well, father figure.
Yeah. He also, and this one's a little thing for you.
Okay.
He provided the original narration and voiced the Phantom in Disneyland Paris's Phantom Manor.
Wow.
And although it was redubbed in the time that you guys have been, it's been gone back.
Yeah.
Vincent Price is the English voice.
Yes, when you it's when you first enter and and it's just before when you look up and you see the Phantom.
Yeah.
Before the Phantom laughs and he's hanging on the chandelier.
And basically, any English-speaking
Right,
accountant
of
or the
course it
narrator
is.
Vincent Price.
Yeah, because he's the one that says, "Oh, is your mind deceiving you? Are you going down, or is the room? Yes, is the room getting longer? Are you something like that? I can't remember, but yes."
He was considered for the role of Shere Khan.
Yeah, maybe.
I could see it. I could see that. The one that I couldn't get, but actually I'm so annoyed that it didn't happen.
Okay.
That's the thing there. He was asked by Tim Burton to play Santa in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah, that would have been good.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it just would have...
But then...
However...
They needed a jolly Santa-like voice, didn't they?
He was too ill. He actually passed away 4 days before the release of the film. But you said that it was the narrator in Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah, I used to know that word for word.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah.
Which, as darkness spreads across the land.
It's darkness...
whatever.
Isn't it?
You can't
Darkness...
say too much anyway, it's copyright.
I know. Darkness crawls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Yeah. Anyway.
Just on a little bit on that, Michael Jackson was the inspiration for Dr. Facilia in Princess and the Frog.
I can see that.
And Paraline.
Of course. But wasn't that him and Prince?
Yes, I mean, it's just the inspiration.
Yeah.
So, and Rettigan. It's got 5 fingers, not 4, like all the other mice.
Oh.
However, the animators made a mistake, and in some fight scenes...
He has 4.
He's got 4.
Oh, okay.
So...
right. Olivia. Played by Suzanne Polashek.
Yeah.
She was born in Glasgow in 1977. And she just basically did things in the 80s, and that was it.
This was her only acting role for Disney.
Yeah.
This was the only one. She was considered for Jenny in Oliver and Company when it was going to be Penny.
Yeah.
The Rescuers, because they was meant to make...
Yeah. No.
There's a lot of additional bits around this. I will say this, though. I didn't find her Scottish accent that convincing.
What? Daddy!
Yeah, no.
Daddy!
At some point, I thought she was doing it as Mary Poppins. It was like, what's going on? Olivia was meant to be an older character in the original draft, and was going to be a possible love interest for Basil.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because we don't always need a love interest.
No.
And sometimes I feel like in movies, and we've not really come across it as of yet in the Disney classics, but I do find sometimes when they focus too much on love interest, the rest of the story is lost and ruined. Fidget. Oh, what were you going to say?
Just that the reason why she was moved to a younger child is because they felt that she would gain more sympathy.
Yes.
From the audience, and I don't. I think if that had been an older person, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
It just because no one would care.
No. Because they didn't care about Alice. And she's like a teenager.
Who the...
Alice? So, I think it was nice. And a cute little girl mouse, and... Yeah, the introduction to her and her dad helps. Straight away, you are connected to this father-daughter relationship, and it is...
Well, it's the opening mystery.
Yeah.
Think about Murder, She Wrote, when they had the freeze frame before the introduction music and the thing, and all of those kind of things. That's what they've done. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't do the tune.
It's in my head. Right. It's in my head. I know. Okay, so Fidget is voiced by Candy Candido, and he played the chief in Peter Pan, the crocodile in Robin Hood, and the gargoyle or
The
goons that, you know, says, we looked all the cradles. So, yeah, I mean, his voice is very distinctive.
It is, and he's in a few other bits as well.
Okay.
I found. So, born on Christmas Day. Just like that. So
Okay.
He was born on Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he is one of Maleficent's goons, and he voices them in the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough in California.
Oh.
He's also one of the prisoners in the Haunted Mansion. I
Okay.
don't know which prisoner, but apparently he's called Gus.
Okay.
So if you know who Gus is,
That's him.
that's him. He's the Red Devils in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And for this role, as Fidget, his voice was sped up digitally.
Yeah.
Because he has a very
Deep voice.
deep voice. With Fidget, there is a bit of a gaff, a goof.
Uh-huh.
He loses his hat at Basil's.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the film, or towards the beginning. But his hat reappears at the end of the film. Roughly the same time that Rattigan loses and gains a finger from scene to scene.
Okay. So it's like a movie blooper.
Yeah, blooper. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, blooper.
Okay. Flaversham.
Yes.
So the toy maker.
Yes.
Voiced by Alan Young. And I only put one name down. Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge.
Yeah.
McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck.
How
Or
come you didn't do a Scottish accent? when you
Ebenezer
said
Scrooge. Because I am Scottish!
Yeah, but it sounded like you were doing an English
Really?
accent. Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck.
Say it with a proper, like you're at home.
So a forced.
Yeah, just like
I'm at home. I would say Scrooge
Susan.
McDuck.
Scrooge.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yes, his voice is ingrained in my head due to this film, DuckTales, and how many times Jacob has played Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know that
there,
word for word.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I had no other on him because I literally was like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to say any more. No. Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, she did the accent.
I just said it the way I would say it.
No. Putting on a phone voice.
No, it didn't. Right, Sherlock Holmes. So it is voiced by Basil Rathbone, who was Sherlock Holmes, but it's
in 1939. Going.
Yeah. So yes, as we said earlier, he did pass in 1967, and it's recordings he did for a book. You know, I've got it written down in my list of facts, but yeah, so he recorded reading the book, so it was like, you know, an audiobook. Yeah, before audiobooks were a thing.
No, you had audiobooks before
Oh.
DVDs and CDs and videos and all of those.
So, well, it was from one of those tapes they took the lines from.
Because Sterling Holloway was Uncle Remus.
Oh, yeah, in the
Oh,
Song of
the
the South
audiobook
one.
of Song
Yes,
of the
because
South.
didn't you get... I mean, I had a few books that came with a cassette tape
Yes,
of the...
they would have been.
Yeah. Lady Mouse. So this is the one at the end.
The one at the end, the singer.
No.
Okay, Lady Mouse.
So the one at the end. So
I may have
after...
dozed off, to be honest.
So it's right at the end, after they've solved the case, and
it's
Dawson... And it's going to be the new case.
Yes.
And she's played by Shani Wall... Oh my god, I've not written it down properly. Shani Wallace.
I don't know who she is. So.
You do?
Do I?
You do?
So I'm guessing she comes up in another Disney. No. Go on.
I'm trying to think of the song that she sings. Because as soon as I say the words... it's... Boom Balaban. Is it Boom Balaban? Boom Balaban? No. Anyway, she plays Nancy in Oliver, the musical movie.
I've never seen it.
Have you not?
Yeah, I have.
I was going to say, Stephen.
No, there is not a British child who hasn't seen that because it was on TV.
We're going to talk about this in the next podcast because I had to suffer.
Yes. There's a lot of suffering of that film, and because people still think it's a classic.
It's not.
It's not. Please don't go anywhere near it.
But yes, so what is the song that she sings?
I'm
so surprised that she isn't the singing voice. But I've written down who is, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, I got the singing voice. I just realised I got a few bits for Basil and Basil Rathbone as well.
Okay.
So, obviously, he is named after Basil Rathbone, but he was also named after Basil in the original book.
Yeah.
So that was by
Basil
Eve
of Baker
Titus.
Street. Yes.
Which
came out like 4 years before or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
No, it was a newer...
It's that 80s.
So basically Basil Rathbone narrated the Wind in the Willow section of The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Two.
Oh, yes he did! That's right!
You were listening.
I know!
You were listening to our podcast. Although Basil was based on the look of Basil Rathbone, so his slender body and things, not actually personality or anything, not based on his performance, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But the other thing is the way that Basil stands up to Rattigan with his fists
clenched
and holding up is the exact same pose that Roger does with
with Cruella. Very similar. I put down that by strange coincidence, Basil was also a name used by a disguised Holmes in Arthur Conan Doyle's The Adventure of Black Peter. So, yes. So it has a reference to... It does refer to Holmes in a way.
So you had a Melissa Manchester, I believe.
Yeah, that's who. Let me be good to you.
Yes.
Hey, fellas.
Remember, more than 2 lines, you got to pay someone.
Yeah, loved this song when I was a kid. I wanted to be her.
Do you know what's really annoying about this?
What?
It's not on Spotify.
I know!
Because I didn't really like the other 2 songs.
Oh, what? Rattigan?
Yeah, I didn't like them.
Oh.
I did like the...
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, say goodbye.
No, that's from Sound of Music.
No, it's not. That's the recording that he leaves when they're tied up.
Yeah, I've only heard it like twice.
Yeah, goodbye so soon.
Yes, that's it. Goodbye.
So soon. Yeah, both that and the Rattigan one was written by Henry
Mancini.
Mancini.
Do you know what else he did?
The name does ring a bell.
I've got written down that he did the Pink Panther tune.
Oh.
Because he did.
Okay. What the? Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yep.
Oh.
I've got a feeling he did James Bond as well.
Oh, maybe.
Google
Google it.
it. That was our catchphrase last week.
It was, because there was a lot of Google it, because there was just so many.
Oh, just...
it was like, if you were really that fussed to know that minor detail, Google it.
Google it.
But yeah, Melissa Manchester wrote Let Me Be Good to You. And she sings the voice.
She does. She also wrote the songs, composed the songs and the lyrics for Lady and the Tramp 2.
Oh, good for her.
Yes.
And made it so much better.
And I can't find anything on the Henry Mancini with James Bond, so I do apologise, but yes, definitely the Pink Panther, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking down and I'd have to spend 10 hours listening down all of those songs. But more impressively to me anyway, Melissa Manchester was one of Bette Midler's backup singers.
Yes. I did read that.
That's
that so
more
cool.
Than the whole Lady in the Tramp thing.
And that segment was nearly cut. Because they thought
nothing to the film, if I'm honest.
Yeah. What?
It makes the place feel more like one of those dives.
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of it. For me, it's like seeing the dingy side to, that world.
Yeah.
Because Basil is so posh. He's spoken well. And so is Dawson. And to see them dress up, or dress down, as some would say, and go to this, take on like what a sailor's bar would be, sort of idea. Like, you can imagine a worker's bar. Yeah, it was going to be cut. Lyrics and some animation was considered too risque for a Disney family film. But animators insisted it was a cabaret performance, and that because it was a singing mouse and not a singing woman, that it's still family friendly. So it was kept, thank God.
Because it could have been that was going to put this movie as a PG.
Yeah.
So we've just had Black Cauldron being PG because of a mouse.
I know. A lady mouse.
God knows what they thought of Jessica Rabbit 2 years later. Just before you go on that one, someone else was considered for the role. However, was thought of as not a good fit because she was not contemporary. Her voice wasn't contemporary enough.
You're going to
for the 80s.
I know.
Which was
Madonna. I know. Weird. She wasn't contemporary enough.
Contemporary is in the 1800s, not the 1980s.
Okay.
However, this is the first of what I know 2 times that she's been turned down for a Disney film role. So
yeah. Before I forget, when we were speaking about Vincent Price, apparently he always wanted to voice a Disney character. It was a dream.
It was his favourite role.
Yeah.
Which
I'd
the
love
fact
that.
that he died just a few years later.
Love that.
Yes.
So, to all those Disney haters, you are a minority.
Yeah.
Although there probably won't be any listening to this podcast because you have to love Disney to listen to this podcast. But yeah, just in case.
We've mentioned a few horror films though in this one.
Right, will we get into the juicy facts?
I've got a few more just about that because my juicy facts are mainly about the bits we've already spoke about.
Okay.
And then I'll leave you with the other half.
Okay.
So I've got a few videos and whatnot. In Norway.
I wrote this down as well!
The film was almost banned for children.
So bizarre.
So Disney didn't release it in Norway with a Norwegian dub. However, they did consider it to be released as a straight-to-video because there was no censor for videos in the 1980s.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I got down that them and Denmark had requested 30 seconds of cuts. But yet Sweden and Finland didn't.
No.
It's like, what were the Norwegians and Danish seeing that the Swedish and Finnish
was that mouse?
It was that lady mouse. It's that cabaret mouse.
In the Dutch dub, Basil, Dawson and Olivia sing the world's... Goodbye So Soon over the credits.
Why?
I don't know.
Very strange.
You mentioned that the music was by Henry Mancini. The lyrics were by Larry Grossman, and I do apologise if I get this wrong, but Ellen Fitzhugh, who also voiced the barmaid.
Oh, yeah.
And Oliver. In this, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the script took 4 years to write, but animation only took 1 because of the computer animation.
Yes.
In this, which I'm sure we've got more information on. It's the last animated classic to be heavily use. Jimmy McDowell's sound effects. So we mentioned that new sound effects were created for the Black Cauldron and will continue to be used. However, because this one had finished, like you said, before the Black Cauldron, they were using the old sound effects. Yeah. It's also the last, to date, Disney animated feature film to be set in the UK.
Yes, I've got that as well.
And I must admit, I did sit there and go, right.
I know, I did as well. I was like, what?
Really? That there was another one.
No. Yeah.
I'll let you chip into one of those,
right.
We have a little ball, shouldn't we?
First of all, your turn. Okay, so Ratigan was originally designed to look thin and weak, but when Price was chosen to play the role, his appearance was changed accordingly. I think it's better that Ratigan is bigger. A, because he's a rat. Yeah. Trying to be a mouse. I don't know why. But I like the fact that he is so much bigger than Basil, because it's almost like, well, just because you're bigger doesn't mean you'll win.
Well,
it's that whole, so
whether it's an animation mistake or whether it's an actual plot thing, we don't know. But in the sequence in that clock tower, Ratigan gets bigger.
Yes.
And it's when he's going feral. Things.
Almost as if he's been holding it in this suit.
Which links back to Werewolf.
Yeah.
Which, with Vincent Price, old Victorian London.
Yeah.
You've got that whole... Yeah. It's that horror theme. So, yes, we don't know whether that's...
It's like he's been trying to play it cool.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Basil just hits that.
Oh, he gets him.
Yeah, he gets him. That wrong button.
Yeah, calls him a rat.
And then he just,
That's it. Yeah. Done.
Speaking of the clock tower scene, it's the first major use of computer animation in a feature-length animated film. The same scene was also the first time traditionally animated characters were put inside a computer-generated background.
It was the first one it was used on, but not the first one released for the computer animation.
Yeah, because
the Black Cauldron. Finished first.
Yes.
So, but yes, you are.
Yeah. It was the vice president. Now, I've never liked this guy, right? I've watched all of when we had the DVDs. And, with those special features. Whenever he was interviewed, I never really liked him. Okay. There was something about I thought, So, the vice president of the Walt Disney animation department was Peter Schneider. And he's the one that changed the title from Basil of Baker Street to The Great Mouse Detective. And I've made a note... Unless you've got it written down. I've made a note on my phone.
I've got a quiz at the end.
Oh, right, okay.
Say that with the memo.
Yes.
So I got
Lou
to write on one side.
Okay.
And put the answer on the other.
Right, so we'll do that quiz at the end. So basically, the animators took the piss out of the fact that he'd gone from a nice title to... what's the word?
It's just a very descriptive, The Great Mouse Detective.
When someone is like speaking down to you.
Yeah, it's patronising.
Patronising, yeah, that's it. It's a very patronising description.
Yes.
Because we don't need to be told that he's the Great Mouse Detective. And it would have been better, but yeah. and the animators poked fun at it. Eventually did find out he wasn't too happy, but he becomes a bit of a nuisance over the next few years. But yeah, so his name will crop up a few times. But yeah, he's like a little, and he is little as well. I almost feel like he's got that little man syndrome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What's it called? Napoleon syndrome.
Yes. Yeah. This is one of the few Disney movies to take place entirely at night. There's no scenes that take place during the day at any point in the movie. So yeah, again, it was something where I was like, I had to think back. It was like, really? But yeah. Fidget was based on his voice actor. And then obviously we mentioned about how his voice was sped up. This was one of the last movies to have. Now, this I found fascinating, because when I think about it, it's like, oh yeah, that is right. They don't do that anymore. So this is one of the last movies to have the end appear, but in movie in general, not just Disney. Apparently, other movie companies were getting rid of it in the 70s. That's how early it was. But it wasn't until, I think, the 90s that it had completely gone from any movie. So, and I was like, yeah, it literally just don't go straight to the credits now when you go see a movie.
Well, usually it has the title at the end now.
Oh yeah,
you don't actually get the title.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, I found that quite fascinating. During the entire scene inside the toy shop, Olivia doesn't utter a word, staying true to Basil's earlier line, "And not a word out of you. Is that clear?" That was my Basil impression.
Yeah.
Was it spot on, Stephen? Basil's character design.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I did actually, when I was watching the film, I did actually write down that Basil's quite handsome.
Basil is human, but with a mouse's head.
Basil is very handsome, and then when I read who he's been based off of, it made total sense.
Okay, I know who his voice is based off, but...
So his character design was based on the actor Leslie Howard, who plays...
his voice as well?
No.
Yes. No, who... the voice is based on...
Oh, yes.
Personality, yeah.
Leslie Howard, who plays Ashley in Gone with the Wind.
I got a bit on that, actually.
Okay.
Because the voice and personality is based on his role in Pygmalion, which was a 1938 film. So a lot of this is all based on those 1930s film noir, 1940s kind of thing. Howard owned... Sorry, he was also in 1934 Scarlet Pimpernel. He owned a production company called Minerva Films Limited, and one of the board of directors was none other than Winnie the Pooh himself, A.A. Milne.
Ooh!
And the only productions that made any profit for them were the ones that Milne wrote.
Wow. Another connection there. Yeah. Right. I've also got down that Toby, the dog.
Yes, I didn't realise there was a dog in this. Because every time I've seen a video, there's been a big giant dog on the front of it.
Toby!
And yet, when I've watched it, I've
Toby!
acknowledged that there's a dog. Same with the cat.
Yeah, so he actually features in Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Sign of Four.
Well, I've read them all, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But...
Are the books good? Are they readable?
Do you know what? They are very good for their time.
Okay.
One disappointment that I have with the Sherlock Holmes ones, and it's only the little ones, and I spoofed this when I did a short story last year.
Okay.
And it's basically, so you get the mystery, and then Sherlock Holmes goes, I need to go and speak to someone.
Okay.
And then he goes off, and you're left with Watson for a chapter. And then he comes back and he goes, well, I've spoken to such and such in the Navy who tells
so
me
rather
that
than
this...
following him.
And then he literally comes up with all of this crap that you don't know of because he's gone off and spoken to Bob in the Navy. And then he solved the case.
Okay.
And it's like...
Whereas you would rather be following him when
Yeah.
he goes to speak to that person.
Yes.
Yeah, I see
and
what
I
you mean.
spoofed it where it was a case of the character I was writing for, the main one, who was... Because I do sci-fi and things like that. In Victorian age. And she basically goes, well, I've got things to do and people to see. And she basically just buggers off. And then I literally write crap, which is filler, and then when she comes back, oh yeah, she's done a whole tour of London, which is what happens in these Sherlock Holmes stories.
Okay.
He disappears overnight,
Right.
and then he comes back the next day, and he's got all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I must admit that
Annoys you.
infuriates me.
Yeah.
Because
because you want to follow.
That's not clever.
No.
But in the longer stories, it's brilliant.
Okay.
Especially when he disappears for a bit because he's kind of... You're left with Watson and he's like, well, what is he doing? Because this incident is now happened. And in some cases it's a bit like, did he do this?
Okay.
So there's two sides to it. But with the short stories, yes, it does really annoy me. And it does also annoy me, and it happens in this as well, in this film, is he seems to know, like, where thread is made and in what year, and that means that he can know when a blouse was made.
Oh,
so
yeah, but I love that.
That annoys me.
Oh,
It's
I
such
love
a
that.
cop-out.
Oh, no, I
Such a
love
cop-out.
that.
And it annoys me in this because, obviously, this
Because
is
he focuses on such fine detail.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got such a good memory. That is, the minute he discovers something, it's always there.
Yeah,
And it's really well done in the Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it feels like
where you're almost seeing him compartmentalise his brain and find out, why do I know that, and what use is it in
what it
this?
is we've got to be on the side of, well, in this film, Dawson, where we have no idea what's...
Oh yeah, and he's a
We've just
bizarre
got to
character.
be mesmerised by him. But
I mean, I think if they did this today, they could go a little bit more bizarre.
Do you know what? I actually think if there was... Bob.
Oh, Bob, we're speaking to you again.
I know, thanks for the text message after the Black Cauldron one. Like, you're right, we haven't spoke for a little while, and I forgot to reply back, which...
Well, you don't reply back to me, so...
If anyone knows me, then, fair enough. Well, I've got an idea for you. Sherlock Holmes, played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Well, she's technically the mum.
No.
In the Netflix spin-off, so no, she's already done a part.
No.
Can't be done.
She is so...
Quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she would bring so much to that role, and she's female. That'd bring something so different to the role.
But Netflix has done that.
Has it?
Yeah, with Sherlock's sister.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
Go back to tea.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know that's been
Mine's
done.
nearly cold. I'm going to let you talk for a bit.
Right, so...
Can't drink cold tea, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So despite being... Oh, yeah. No, I'm not. I'm going to get that to the end. Michael Eisner wanted Michael Jackson to voice a character who would enter the saloon and confront Basil and sing a song in the tavern. I am so glad that did not happen.
I mean...
Because that would not have made sense. That would have ruined the film. Could you imagine? You know, and Basil's like, get me a pint.
He's got Vincent Price in the background singing about...
It just does not go. So I am so glad that did not happen. I think it didn't happen just because of scheduling. Like, he just did not have...
I will say, over the next kind of few films, because obviously we're going to look at Roger Rabbit as well.
Yeah. Oh, Eisner
doesn't come across as the
cleverest,
the hero of the moment.
No,
which is weird because this is the time when he is considered the hero of the moment with Frank Wells.
For me, because this, I mean, it's going to be the next film that we go to, which really, for me, has the first star-studded cast of the modern films. I know there were stars in earlier films. They were stars of that time.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know them as to be stars because of we were born then.
Yes.
But for me, you know, considering they went through the 60s, 70s without really having a star-studded cast per se, the next film, I think, is the first to do that. And to me, Eisner is very much about those famous names being on the front cover. But that comes from him, from his movie background. And the fact that in this, already we've hired two famous, probably the most famous
the 80s
pop stars.
They are the 80s to a lot of people.
Female and male.
Yeah.
Even to this day.
Yeah.
Madonna and Michael Jackson's names have both featured in this.
They are the 80s.
Yeah. That's the beginning of their career. And I'm really surprised that they went with Madonna because Like a Virgin didn't come out until 1984. And this, we know, was finished by that point. But she wouldn't have been...
Not by 1980. Oh, yes, 84, 85. Yeah.
So,
but then would she have been seen as the right fit for the atmosphere they were trying to create with that?
No, because she looks like a prostitute. Because if they don't, they nearly cut the scene because they didn't want her to look like a hooker. But then they were going to have her voiced by one that dressed like that and made that fashionable.
Yeah. And then Michael Jackson just walks in as well and does his song. What was this? Top of the Pops?
Oh, yeah, it would have totally ruined it. And again, that would have brought in two Americans.
Yeah.
You know, it just would have... Yeah. So, thank God. Eisner. No. That was... Right, moving on. So, yeah, it's 10 p.m. when Ratigan falls to his death. If anybody wants to know the time.
Mark that on your clock.
Yeah. And speaking of time, so obviously we mentioned right at the start of the film, of this podcast, that the year this was released was the birth year for me. And that the podcast is out the week of my birthday. Mm-hmm. The film is set from my birthday, the 19th to the 21st, 1897.
Wow. So this is your film?
This is my film!
Do you know what I got? Rescuers Down Under.
I love that film.
Luke got Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, he did. I got a good one.
You never saw it until
I know.
you met me. Yeah.
So the last
couples counselling
fact I'm going to mention, before you get on to your video releases and whatnot, despite being a critical and financial success for the company, it was beaten at the box office by another mouse, Don Bluth's An American Tail.
Oh.
I was spoilt this year because I had Basil, I had Fievel Mousekewitz. If you don't know that name, that is the little mouse from An American Tail, and Maverick, Top Gun. I mean,
I had Gremlins.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And talking to Madonna.
Oh yeah, Vogue. That was a good one. Yeah, that came out. I had Papa Don't Breach.
I prefer that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah, my mum says that it was on the radio in the hospital. It had come out earlier in the year, but it was still on the radio at the time.
My mum and dad met 86 whilst watching Take My Breath Away.
Top Gun? Oh yeah, I bet lots of couples had their first date during that that year.
And that's as far as we'll go into that.
Yes.
So yes, towards the end we look at cameos, parts and VHS. So cameos, House of Mouse, Once Upon Studios, and A Poem, and cameo in Wish, right at the end.
Where?
Over the credits.
Oh yeah, I didn't class that as a...
He's playable as characters on video games, and he is prominent within video games, shall we say, more than anyone else from this kind of era.
Okay.
So, I'll go through the videos. It was re-released in cinema in 1992, and he also got a VHS release under the names, and this was for both of them, The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective. The DVD, which was also under that, was under 2002. The Blu-ray and the Disney Plus release, Blu-ray was 2012, they replaced the title card to read The Great Mouse Detective. Although we still know it as...
Basil. I always say Basil the Great Mouse Detective. It's just...
That's what I'm going to list it on when we do the podcast, because that's the name. In the parks, Rettigan, you could have had a meet and greet with Rettigan. However, he was retired sooner than the other two characters which were available, as it was presumed that he was scaring children. Oh. I want to see him.
I want to see him come out of retirement. Come on, Disney. I think children could stand him now.
Basil and Dawson were retired in 2004.
What? They lasted that long? I never saw them.
18 years they were.
They were not in Disneyland Paris.
I don't think that they would be, to be honest. I think they were in the American parks, but you could meet all three.
Did you see any pictures?
I did see a picture of Rettigan, and yeah.
Was he scary?
I would get it because he's tall.
Okay.
Like, he was stood next to a human and he was goofy tall.
Right, with the hump and... Yeah, okay.
So I get it.
Yeah,
I do get that.
okay.
I didn't see...
I think they could bring him back, though.
Yeah, don't mind.
Because I think kids
Why
nowadays...
Why bring him back for the hundreds?
I know.
Because... Yeah, well... my last fact that I have... Although I have two, it's not my last one.
Okay. So second to last.
Second to last. Eve Brenner voiced the Queen, and the Queen was animated by Andreas Deja.
Yes.
Who we will get to know a lot.
Yes, I love Andreas Deja. Yeah.
Seems so friendly on those.
I know, I love when he does his commentary. Yeah.
It's like, I'll just sit with him.
I love his accent.
Like, if he wants to come on this Bob.
No, it's Andrea.
I'm going to see if he's on Threads.
I think he's retired now.
Can do a podcast with us.
Yeah.
It's our podcast. With the best.
I know.
We're the original of these as well. My other one is, I mentioned right at the beginning. So, Basil lives on in a comic. And within the comic, there is two characters, which is, I'm going to have to get them, Olivia and... the little...
Fidget.
Fidget.
Yeah, the bat.
Fidget is a good guy.
Oh!
He is reformed. He did not die.
Okay.
And his wings repaired themselves.
Oh, magically.
So, instead of the Rescue Rangers film that we got, which I cannot praise enough, by the way.
Oh yeah, we love that film.
Instead of that, there was going to be a pitch. Get this. Rettigan was the villain.
Uh-huh.
And Basil was teaching Olivia, and she was his protege.
Okay.
Growing up, Olivia would go on to form a company called the Rescue Aid Society, who would feature two little chipmunks.
Okay.
Which we know as the Rescue Rangers.
Right. Okay.
however, grew tired and went on their own mysteries. So
this was going to be instead of the live-action Rescue Rangers film?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe the villain who was going to take over, now I've not written it down, so I do apologise if I get this wrong, but I do believe that the villain was going to be from... I wish I'd written it down.
Oh, Stephen!
Who's that villain?
Is it a Disney villain?
Yes.
From a series?
Who's from Tailspin? Who's the main
Shere
villain?
Khan?
No, them. Maybe it's the villain from Rescue Rangers.
Oh, the cat?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's the name of the cat. What is that name?
Yeah, he looks like Peter Ustinov.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
And it was
okay.
So that was in the past, and this was now. So yeah, it was going to link this.
Okay.
It was going to link Oliver and Company because of the Jenny Penny situation.
Uh-huh.
It was going to link
the
Rescuers.
This would have been a universe.
It was a universe.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this was, although that was quite recent, the Rescue Rangers and the Rescuers were all part of the universe anyway, and obviously as we'll find out in the next film.
Mm-hmm.
So was that, and I believe this was going to be linked in.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I personally feel it need to be linked with any other film.
No, it doesn't, but I like that idea.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
But
they could have gone with that idea without using the characters from another film.
They could have, but if, for example, that... now, let's add another thing in the mix here. Let's look at another rodent that we're going to see in a few weeks' time. Roger Rabbit. Set in the 1940s.
Uh-huh.
With that whole just after the war, which is when Olivia would be a grown-up.
Well, yeah, she'd be 50-something. Maybe 58.
Would
or
that
60.
have linked in a little bit? Could they have done an 80s thing?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm excited by it, Bob.
Okay, Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, I feel like they really missed an opportunity when they made this film. I feel like this would have been a good one to do a series spin-off or another sequel over The Rescuers.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I think The Rescuers just is a little bit more defined. Rattigan aside, I will say that Rattigan is a brilliant villain.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rescue Ranger, the Rescuers, I'll get them.
Uh-huh.
They're more whole. I follow them more. I care about them more. You know when Basil and Dawson are on that mousetrap, and it's like the...
Oh, see, I used to always tense up when I was a kid at that scene. And even though I knew that they escaped, I still were like...
I went too bothered. I kind of wanted Rattigan to win, to be honest.
Because I love the end scene where... Well, no, I'll get to it when we talk about what we like about the film.
Now.
Okay,
yeah, that's where we are.
Right, well, so I gave this a 4. Nearly a 5.
Really?
I was very close to giving it a 5. This, to me, it's very nostalgic for me. I have lots of feelings of nostalgia with this film. And there's scenes in it where, you know, it's like, oh, it really gets to me. Like the opening scene.
Yeah. Is it because they're Scottish?
No, but like, do you know what? That is just a bonus. It's just a bonus.
There's the accent.
Like, not only is this film set on my birthday, but like
the voice as well.
They speak like me.
Yes.
Two of the characters are from my land. No, I've always liked crime, thriller, investigative storylines. And, you know, I was really heavily into Murder, She Wrote. Like, I watched that with my grandma. I loved those easy watching.
We all love them during the summer holiday.
You know, Jessica Fletcher, Basil and Poirot were my childhood. Those were my investigators when I was growing up. So, yeah, it means a lot, and I still sit and enjoy. And the fact that I always think, if I'm not reaching for my phone, I'm enjoying it. And to me, for it to still be watchable all this time, 38 years later, not giving my age away.
And you better say it in every podcast, yeah.
But yeah, that opening scene where, you know, the fact that you don't see the bat either is very well done. You hear that something is happening. She's been locked in that cupboard. She's trying to get out, and then she opens it up, and her dad's toy shop's been, you know, and then, you know, she runs out. She's on her own, and like, she looks about 4, but I think she's supposed to be like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But still, you know, and you're like, oh my God, she's been left on her own. And then when Dawson finds her in the shoe and she's crying, it's like, oh. And then when she gets to Basil's and like his housekeeper like brings her in and gets her those cheese crumpets. Yeah, I just love it. And the villain, like, I wrote down how I was so impressed that 10 minutes into the film, not only does Basil introduce the villain, but then cuts to a scene where we actually see him, and that's where we get that Ratigan song.
That's where he kills his first, feeds them to
feeds them to Felicia.
Felicia. Do you know the name of that mouse?
No.
Bartholomew.
Oh.
And do you know who voiced him?
No.
Barry Ingram.
Oh.
Basil.
Oh, so he did him as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A man of many talents.
Yes.
I can play an intelligent mouse and a drunk mouse.
Yes. What a shame you couldn't play that sexy mouse.
So, Let Me Be Good to You. Oh, I love that song. I don't know why.
No, I don't.
I think it's the cabaret thing as well. Like, I love that whole cabaret. It reminds me on, like, very cowboy-esque, you know, like a saloon.
Yeah.
You know, that whole idea.
Prostitutes in the East End of London. Well, it is.
Prostamouses.
Actually, it's quite factually correct, because actually all the down and outs used to hang around the docks. And it was real,
because of the sailors coming in and out, you know. Yeah. And I liked the little touches as well that they had, especially with the Sherlock Holmes. The fact that he is above him is so well done. And you don't need to hear that is, but you know.
Yeah.
The shadow with him playing the violin, you know, and you know it's Baker Street.
Yeah. Which I love that song.
What, the song that he plays on the violin?
Nope.
What song?
Baker Street. I don't know his name. Who does it with the saxophone? That.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that one.
I'll play it for you afterwards.
Okay.
I don't want to mention copyright from this podcast.
Yeah, I also liked as well that with the Queen, I loved that, like, because obviously we've only known a Queen.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I always thought it was our current Queen.
Our Queen, back in the BFG.
Yes!
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until obviously I was older that I was like, oh, it's a great-great-grandmother.
Did you not watch EastEnders? Did you not know who Queen Victoria was?
Yeah. I just never
She was a
put
mouse
the two together.
Yeah. Robot.
I just didn't put the two together. But yeah, I love that it's a Jubilee as well.
Yeah.
Like the timing, the setting. I really couldn't find too much to fault with, except I would have wanted more songs. And that it is predictable.
Yeah.
You know, watching it now, it's like... Because even if I've not watched it in a long time, it is predictable.
So...
What's your issues then, Stephen?
So as I mentioned last week, I've only ever seen this twice before.
Okay.
Maybe 3 times thinking of it. So this is... 4th time ever watching this film, max. Or could even been the 3rd. I found a lot of fault with it. I hated the fact that it's called The Great Mouse Detective and Dawson doesn't know who Basil is.
Because he's been away in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And can I just point out before, that opening scene where they first meet is the same way they meet in the original. And it doesn't matter how many versions of that first meet, it's the same.
Yeah.
And like the Cumberbatch version's the same, and the fact that they even put that in, and
they do meet even in the book. It's because we follow Watson, we don't follow Holmes.
Right.
We follow Watson, but I just didn't like that. But he knew where Baker Street was, and
oh yeah, well I do know where Baker Street is.
We've been to London. And I can tell you now, no one knows where Baker Street is. If it wasn't for the fact it was on a tube stop...
yeah, it's not the easiest to find.
And yet he doesn't know who...
Basil is.
And yet Sherlock Holmes, a world-famous detective who lives above there, that Basil apparently idolised, which is why he becomes this detective.
But is it because Dawson is clearly much, much older and has been away for a long time?
I don't know who...
I think Basil's only been a great detective for maybe a year or 2.
I wouldn't even say that.
Because he's clearly a lot younger.
He's not solved any crimes as far as I'm concerned. This is like his first attempt to...
Okay.
But then we've expected to have this long history with Rattigan.
I know, he's arch enemy.
That then he can defeat.
Yeah.
And then Rattigan's like, now Basil's on the case. What did you mean? Like, surely if he was... basically ruining all of your things, you would assume that you would put a Scooby-Doo trap there.
Personally, Stephen, I think you're just being picky.
I didn't like it.
Because it's a kid's film.
Well, do you know what? I think that's one of the things that...
You've got to put yourself in, like, imagine you're 8
Jamie,
watching this film.
I watch kids' programmes. Okay, that is the majority of my... viewing experience. If it's not curry, it's children's children's TV shows.
Yeah.
And this to me, and it's interesting with the name change as well, because I felt yes, this was a kids' film, in the same way that it's not a family film. It's not like the Disney films that surround it. Even if you discount the last 2, like I felt that, say, Robin Hood and even Winnie the Pooh to an extent and The Rescuers were family films that you could sit with your mum and dad on a Sunday afternoon or go to the cinema as a family.
Why? When else would you watch this?
This feels like it is aimed for children. And yeah.
Oh, right. So you feel like adults wouldn't really enjoy it. Well,
I didn't get the references, any references that were aimed specifically for adults.
But they weren't doing it at that time.
But then, if you look at the films that kind of...
and even into the Renaissance, they don't do it.
But they're still family films. You go in with that family... Like, you would go and see Aladdin with your family. You would go and see Beauty and the Beast.
But why wouldn't you go and see this one?
Because I just think adults would find it a kids' film, not a family film. I think that's the difference. I'm trying to think of a film that is similar in nature to it, and I can't. It's not like other Disney. I
think because of its setting, and the time it's set, it's very different.
Yeah.
Because Disney's either gone really old, like 15th century, or it's gone present day.
It just didn't.
And this is the first, really, where, we're coming to the turn of the century. So we're going from the 18th into the 19th, and so much technology has now started. And even though it's set into the end of the 1800s, or the 19th century, like you pointed out earlier, it has a feel of modern to it.
I just felt it was more like, and I wish I could think of a film because you'll get what I mean, and I can't.
I think you're just being picky.
No,
especially in regards to the last week's film.
Yes, but I did say between for a Disney film and for another film.
Yeah.
So this one I've given a 2.
No way!
Yeah. I'm not even doing it just to... I struggled through the film, and those 2 are purely for Rettigan and the song dropping the mouth, the cat eating the mouth, that whole...
Okay.
Him, what he did, I think with Sherlock Holmes is it's been done, and because I've seen so many other versions before this, and read the books, and read books based on Sherlock Holmes, and watched TV and films based on storylines and whatnot, this just felt a bit of a poor version, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Of that. I didn't get Disney from it either.
What?
I didn't get
talking animals.
Yeah, do you know what I got the mice thing with the rescuers and American Tail,
which is not Disney.
Which is not. I got that.
Okay.
I got that feel from it, but I didn't get Disney, and that. I just didn't, as a film, do you know what, if you was to line up all of the Disney films, I think 2 is generous, but I don't think it deserves any more than a 2.
Oh, I'm shocked.
I thought the Jungle Book was better.
Well, I did not.
There we go. And I think actually the title of it emphasised what they were doing. They were making a film for kids, not a family film.
Because they changed the title. That was that Schneider.
No, what I mean is... I
mean, even as a name, it doesn't sound friendly.
I think it just leans into what they were... I don't know. When you look at something like a Goofy movie, which was only a decade after this, and it's not even a proper Disney release, but it feels so much more Disney than what this film does.
Probably because it stars Goofy.
I think there's the whole storyline, the look of it, the feel, the songs.
But it's a very relatable story because it's about a teenager and a dad trying to connect.
I just felt this was more...
Well, look, I'm not going to convince you to change your mind.
If it wasn't by Disney, I think I would go, do you know what, that's an okay film, but I expect more from a Disney film. And I have the same issue in the early 2000s.
Oh, no, this is nothing like that.
I preferred this to Home on the Range. Because Home on the Range, again, it doesn't feel like a Disney film. Whereas at least this one, I sat and watched it, and Rettigan was really good. He was really good. But that's the only thing. And do you know what? If there were more songs, I might have liked it more.
Yeah, I felt it needed one more, like 1 or 2 more, because obviously the Goodbye So Soon is played in the background while Basil is solving out how to get them out of their trap. And the Ratkin and the Let Me Be Good to You was so good. It needed just one, maybe just one more.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, if I was influenced by my nostalgia, I would have given it a 5. But because I can see that it's not perfect, and that because it's a predictability, and yes, there is definitely there's no lines or jokes that would go over kids' heads that are put in for adults, and there's nothing there that only adults would understand either. But I feel all the characters are really strong. I like the characters.
I felt Rettigan was really strong, and I will say that actually, although I knew him as a bit of an evil villain anyway, and he looked scary and stuff like that, watching it this time, I had more respect for that character as a villain. And I'd put him up there quite high. Yeah,
he's a good one,
really
and I've
good.
forgotten one. I don't think people give him enough credit.
And I kind of think maybe this film, the only thing it has going for it, which we again said with the Jungle Book, is the nostalgia from the people who were there. And because I didn't have this on video, I don't have that nostalgia for it. I just see it as a film. I'm looking at it fresh. And yes, it's got the Disney name on it, but it just doesn't feel that way.
Okay.
It just doesn't. It would, as a TV series, if it was like one of those, is it Saturday?
Like the DuckTales were and the Rescue Rangers.
I think I'd love
I'm
it.
so surprised that this was not made into a spin-off.
I would love it.
Considering it was a success.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't number 1 in the box office, but
because they were making the Rescuers, and then that moved into Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
Maybe this was just the setting wasn't in fashion.
Maybe.
So. Right.
But on that note,
well, no, we've got a little game.
Our game.
Yes. So you mentioned about the changing of the name.
Yes.
Animator Ed Gumbert wrote a false name, a false memo renaming older Disney films. This list was only to be passed around Disney animators, but like everything good, it got leaked. And was used on the quiz show Jeopardy.
Right.
As a round.
Okay.
And thanks to Luke.
Okay.
We can both play this game.
Right.
So in front of me, just so you know, I've not looked at these.
Okay.
I found a list of where you could get them.
And you gave it to him.
And I gave it to Luke to do this. And he's written down one piece of paper. On one side, it's what this memo said.
Okay.
On the back
is the real film.
The real film. So, yes. I think I've got the first because it has been staring at us.
Right,
okay. But yes, I asked Luke whether he thought they were quite simple, and he said yeah.
Okay.
But we've been doing quizzes, and I thought we could do this.
Yes,
together. So
yeah.
I'll read the first one, and I think I've got it.
Okay.
The Boy Who Would Be King.
Oh, The Lion King.
No, because it was before.
Oh,
all
yeah.
the ones we've done.
Oh, yeah.
So, The Sword in the Stone.
Oh, The Sword in the Stone.
So I'm going to turn it over.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
The Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done, Stephen. I can't believe I didn't.
This is a great game.
This is such a good game.
This is going to be saved. This is coming out. So, yes, your turn.
Okay. The Amazing Flying Children.
I can only think of Peter Pan.
Yeah, I can only think of Peter Pan.
The Amazing Flying Children. Shall we see?
Yeah.
Peter Pan?
Peter Pan.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
The Girl in the Imaginary World.
Oh, Alice. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. Yeah.
The Evil Bonehead. Is it the Black Cauldron?
Oh, yeah! Is it the Black Cauldron? Yes.
Colour and music. Oh, come on.
I know. Oh, Fantasia. Yeah, Fantasia. Yeah. Two mice save a girl. Rescuers.
These sound awfully lot like my synopsis. Boom.
Yeah. The girl who seemed to die.
Oh, either Sleeping Beauty or Snow White.
Oh. I'm going to say Snow White. Because the people don't know that Sleeping Beauty is sleeping. Because they're asleep too.
The girl who seemed to die. Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be Snow White.
Sleeping Beauty.
Oh!
Weird. The girl with see-through shoes.
Oh, Cinderella.
Cinderella. Yeah.
Yeah. Robin Hood with animals.
Well, that's got to be the Jungle Book.
Yeah, got to be.
Robin
Hood.
No. That one.
The little deer who grew up.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Although I didn't know.
I know.
It's like...
Yeah, that's right. You didn't know, did you, Stephen?
So
you thought that...
It ended when it come down. We're saying Bambi, aren't we?
Yes, we are saying Bambi, yes.
The wonderful elephant who could really fly. Again, the Jungle Book.
Oh, it has to be.
Dumbo.
A boy, a bear, and a big black cat. That's got to be the Jungle Book, yeah.
Well, we've said this twice.
I know.
Yeah, Jungle Book. Puppies taken away. Who wrote these? Ed Gombert.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah. I've got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, Disney Hero Awards.
Yeah.
It's coming your way.
It's coming. Just when he's alone.
Yeah. 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Two dogs fall in love. I mean, they really took this.
Yeah, really took the piss.
Yeah. Technically, 101 Dalmatians.
But they were right to do so. I mean, it must have really irked them. This little dweeb comes in out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's like, because he has no balls, and he doesn't clearly is trying to show his authority. He does it by changing the title. There was absolutely nothing wrong with Basil of Baker Street. It was the name of the book. It was allowed to be used.
Yeah. And Basil of Baker Street's a good name.
And all he's done is by changing the title, he's made more issues because he's opened it up to, oh, well, he must be an amazing detective.
Which he's not.
And he's clearly only really just getting into stride of being a detective because of this arch nemesis. Because he's been so focused on getting Rattigan, he's not been able to do anything else. I wouldn't necessarily say that's somebody who's a great detective.
No, he's not. He's not in this.
So, yeah.
Like, it's clearly Rattigan. Because...
That's outdoing him.
Yeah.
Like I say. So, yeah. I'm glad they did this.
Yeah. I really hope it hurt people.
Yeah.
And this one's a bit of a conundrum. A fox and a hound are friends.
Yeah.
Which?
The Fox and the Hound. The wooden boy who became real. Pinocchio! Or as Finlay calls him, Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Is this the last one?
It is. So we'll put this out to our listeners.
Okay.
I'm not going to get this.
Oh, yeah.
7 little men help a girl.
Can you guess what it is yet?
Right.
Yeah. Next week we're heading to New York City!
And that's our last of Block 2. We have a little special one afterwards. Like we did with Mary Poppins.
Not this one. There is still a couple
So,
more.
yes, we've got one more.
You freaked me out there, Stephen.
No.
I was like, is this the last one?
No, one more is the last one.
We've
and
got
the next
another one. Yeah.
That's what we've got two. And we've got something special planned for you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So on that note, bye.
Bye.